Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video. Today I'm doing a review of the Doctor Who, a Doctor Who comic, issue 3 of the sort of 13th Doctor and 10th Doctor sort of team up by Titan Comics. You've got issue 3 there in the barcode. You've got Jodie and Tennant and then some Sea Devils as well as the TARDIS in the background. This really sort of cool starry effect in the background as well. And then moving on to the back, you've got like sort of quotes from different outlets saying how amazing the comic is. You've got the next issue cover and an advert for Tamlord Victorious, as well as the variant covers that you could have got. What's out this month from Titan Comics, their other sort of comic sort of output, digital, the option to get the comics digitally. On the back of the cover you've got adverts for the other graphic novels for Doctor Who. You've got a bio on the 13th and 10th Doctors, Rose, Ryan, Yaz, Graham and the TARDIS. You've also got this nice little previously, if for whatever reason issue 3 was the first issue you picked up. You get like a little synopsis of what's happened previously. You've got Titan Comics website, Twitter and Facebook down there. You've got the writer, colorist, letterist and so on, like different creators of the comic book and that. Yeah, the cover is this sort of very anime sort of style sort of cover, I feel like. I would agree with what my mum said about the cover. Overall, I think this one it's so-so, it's okay. It's not the best comic ever. And that, I don't know if this is just going to be like a little 4-part miniseries, I'm not sure. But it starts off iffy to me because it throws you in the deep end with a lot of techno babble and jargon, and that the art is nice and that I do like the artwork. I like some of the panels. There's one in particular like that. I quite like that one of Jodie. Tennant, weirdly enough, isn't in this that much. I don't feel like, or actively in this issue in particular. And then this is weirdly enough the only time I think we get an image of a Sea Devil, and even then I think it's a reference to a Capaldi Sea Devil story. I think I could be wrong about that. Capaldi sort of Sea Devil story being obviously in the comics, because if you recall in the TV show that never happened. Even though, as I say, I think as I've said, I think in my last review, if not the first issue of this sort of series of comics, every other time there's a new series, everyone wants the Sea Devils back, or quite a lot of people want Sea Devils back. But yeah, weird how, as I say, they're on the front cover, yet they're not really in this issue, so that was a bit weird. I do like the fact that like the text and speech bubble is different for the Skithra, and that, really sort of adds another layer and dimension to the idea that they speak differently to human. And I love the design of this queen, sort of character, sort of very reminiscent of the Skithra from, obviously, the episode, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, I think. Sounds like a sort of haunted house ride. And I do love this exchange of the 10th Doctor being like, "You're beautiful," and that, because he had a tendency to do that in the main series from what I remember. I do love this panel and shot, of the TARDISes sort of bashing into each other, and and then the interior thing sort of having them transport into the Jodie Whittaker TARDIS. It is quite weird how I'm not the biggest fan of Jodie Whittaker's interior TARDIS, yet in the comics I feel like it's better to look at, weirdly enough, or like I know where things are, or it's just seemed to be drawn / sort of brought to life almost better, weirdly enough, than the show, for me at least. It's really weird to say that out loud, because again, it's like it's really weird because I feel kind of bad because it sounds like, like I think all the people who have directed Inside the TARDIS in the Whittaker are crap, but like, I don't know, it's so bright that it really pops off the page, I think, more. And that, this TARDIS, and as I say, I feel like it works better as a sort of comic booky TARDIS, weirdly enough. One thing I will say is that I'm pretty sure these two TARDISes aren't really that different exterior box wise when in there, but yet they are meant to be, I'm pretty sure, but that's like a really weird comic booky, Doctor Who nerdy fan criticism and that. But yeah, basically, spoiler alert, but basically if you don't want this to be spoiled, skip this bit or stop watching the video. But like, basically the events of Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror basically kind of get undone a bit because of what's going on with this sort of story, and so now they're having to save Edison and Nikola Tesla and that. So that's quite interesting, and that, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about this one. It's okay, as I say. It's not the best comic ever, Doctor Who comic. It's not the worst and that, It does kind of slightly disconcern me that, I might have brought this up before, I can't remember now, but it does slightly disconcern me that, like, the 10th Doctor has to consistently be with the 13th Doctor, and I do feel like that's just to like boost the sales of these things, and it is slightly worrying because it's like, I really would yearn for like 13th Doctor solo adventures, although to be fair, I think they had done quite a few of those already, but then sort of maybe run out of steam of doing those, and then thought, well, Tennant and thought the 10th Doctor was the most famous Doctor, let's just put him with her, and as I say at the beginning, there is a lot of sort of techno-babble / exposition about what's going on in terms of the, like, timeline and time stream and that. And they do, I think, as well try and somewhat interconnect it with the previous story where they were stuck in 1969, London 1969 with, like, the Autons, I think. And then Martha and the Doctor were stuck in the house from Blink. Although that was like a really difficult comic book series to get, because I only ever got issue 1 of that, and I'm not even sure how many issues there were meant to be of that. And so in my brain, I'm really confused as to why they sort of made a reference back to that, because for me, I would have thought they would maybe know the numbers of, like, actually this didn't sell that well, or maybe it did sell well, maybe it sold really well in the States, or in the UK overall, and as I say, there was only a handful of people who weren't able to get it, like myself, and that, but yeah, very odd. And yeah, and as well, especially to connect it with that story, because that was like another sort of multi-Doctor story and a bit skew-if and a bit timey-wimey, so it's like, you're adding more complexity where maybe you don't need it, and that maybe just to pad out the story, potentially, maybe, I don't know. I am interested to still see where this story goes, and from what I remember of issue 1 and 2, I did enjoy those ones. Just as I say, this one's a bit more of a miss, a little bit lower. It's a dip in the 3 issues that I've read so far, I think, personally. But I mean, more power to you if you've enjoyed this issue. So yeah, thanks for watching. Please do comment, rate, and subscribe.